Hi Pisces, it's Jenny here with your March Tarot Horoscope. So I'm just going to be pulling a single card for the month of March to see what's coming up for you. So the first 2/3 of March is of course still Pisces season. So happy belated birthday to some of you and happy upcoming birthday to the rest of you. And then in March equinox, we're going to then be starting into Aries season. So Pisces being that's a good card. Let's grab that. Pisces season, sorry. Little burpee there. Woo. Pisces season is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's kind of like concluding the last energetic year, and then Aries is starting a new energetic cycle. So there's a lot of kind of feeling of endings of cycles and beginning of new ones. So it's kind of like a New Year's vibe, but for the energetic year rather than the calendar year. And your card for the month of March is the Five of Cups. So here we have it. So we have this woman here. She's naked and she's standing at this threshold window. And out through the window, we can see this ocean scene and this big city on a hill. And she's there, and there's also this sort of shadowy man here. They're kind of reaching out to each other. They could be reaching, like beckoning to each other. They could be saying farewell. Not really sure. It could be either way. And then here we have these cups. 2 of them are upright, and 3 of them have fallen over. So that's the card for you. And we're going to see what 5 of Cups has to say. Okay, Pisces. 5 of Cups. A spiritual opening, open to new feelings. 3 cups have fallen over. 2 are still upright. What is bygone and what is sustainable? 3 cups, past, present, and future, indicate that conventional concepts of time are no longer useful. What counts now is inner reality and personal vision. Here and now, we are confronted with desires and fears that may issue from times long past or pertain to events in times still to come. The image of 2 cups still upright means that we can always choose which emotions and needs to accept and which to reject. A beautiful new way opens up. The challenge is to walk through the doorway, and this involves crossing the threshold. We thereby encounter a shadowy self, psychologically speaking, a double, the alter ego, the second self. This theme is represented by the shadowy figure on the right. The shadow is a symbol of the unlived parts of the self and for unconscious desires and fears. The nakedness of the figure at the center illustrates truth and, again, openness. So this card symbolizes that the moment of truth has come. New inner realities and new experiences lie ahead. The path at the center of the card goes past a castle, indicating security or imprisonment, and leads on to the ocean and the wide open sky. Take note of what aspect of the card attracts you most. Reconciliation or separation, setting out or staying put. These are all possibilities. Water treatments, baths, and showers can help you to open up emotionally. Do not run away from your own feelings. This is the moment of truth, the long-awaited new beginning. Well, that's a great card for you right now. A long-awaited new beginning in Pisces season. And yeah, this is a fabulous card. I say that about all cards, but really. So this card is a lot of opportunity and a lot of choice. And ultimately, it's a very empowering card because there's so much choice involved. And choice is such an interesting thing. For some people, choice is paralyzing. This fear of consequence, this fear of what is the right thing, a fear of responsibility that, I just really would like it if someone else made the choice for me. All of those things can be really alarming when it comes to just picking what it is that you want. And yet, when we feel like we have no choice, we feel so disempowered, or we feel like we fight against having no choice, and we want that freedom of choice. And sometimes we can experience both of those things at the same time in the same person, or we can both be afraid of choice and yet demand that we have choice. And when we actually have it, what do we do with it? So this card is essentially, there's this doorway, this choice, this possible future. And as we've even seen with this concept of time being somewhat distorted, this future doesn't have to be linear. It could be a revisit of the past. It could be like this opportunity and invitation to go into past cycles and learn from them again. It could be choosing to step very much so in the present moment and getting out of the kind of rat race cycle of always thinking about the next thing. It can be, the choice is so multi-directional. It really is whatever you want it to be. So whatever is coming up for you this month, there is this this presentation of a choice, and it might not be so binary as this or that, or go forward or stay, or right or left. It might be significantly more organic and like a threshold that's going to cross into different ways. So, and for some, it might be a bit more of a binary option, whether it's between concepts of the workplace, like stay at this job or accept a new opportunity, branch out and leave work and try something else, or like whatever it might be. It can be things in love or relationships, opportunities to stay in relationships or opportunities to go, opportunities of saying yes or welcoming in new possibilities in relationships, opportunities, all these kinds of things. It's going to look different for all of you, and for some it might be a very like oceanic experience of like very large pieces of your life being kind of put into perspective, and opportunities to really change things in a really large way, especially because this is all happening during your solar return. There's still this Pisces element here, so it's kind of like heightened, that you're getting to be in this moment. And we are also at this threshold of the energetic new year as well. So it's this choice of we're finishing this past year. We're at the very last little bits of this past cycle. And so there's this very potent, like, how are you going to end this time? How is it that you're going to close out this chapter and start a new one? So there's this extra kind of energetic, like excitement and anticipation about this threshold crossing. What are you going to take into the new year? Who are you going to be as you step into this new cycle? This invitation, of course, with the nudity of the woman is that transparency and honesty and truth is going to be a very strong guide for you, because how can you make a choice if you are not clear and being honest with yourself or with other people? Or how can you make a choice if other people are not being honest with you? And Pisces season, and you being Pisces in general, there's a lot of themes of illusion, deception, that reality isn't so clear and delineated, and that there's this understanding that imaginal realms and illusion and dreams and fantasy all have a kind of truth value. That truth is not just this didactic, what we can prove, that the realms of dreams and art and possibility and this creative twisting of truth is still a part of our reality, and it is then paradoxically untruths are part of the greater truth of our experience. So Pisces energy understands that, and you may have and play with that kind of bordering of the very tangible real and what is kind of beyond that. But at the same time, that is a risk of how do you balance that realm of potential illusion and dreams with honesty and transparency? How, like, running that risk of being self-delusional, of wanting something to be one particular way, or so dreaming of one thing that it ignores that which actually is. So that natural Piscean tendency is going to be heightened right now, so it might be kind of even harder to find your footing, and there might be greater pulls or challenges to being grounded in reality. So you wanted to play with that tension of yes, exploring this opportunity to be in the realms of dreaming and what's beyond possible, and floating up into that cosmic essence without totally losing yourself and being then like making big choices based completely on fabrication. Because that is, of course, what we don't want, is whatever choice we make, we don't want it to be completely based on delusion and jumping into foolish hopes that are more based on deception rather than like anticipation. So that is, of course, always the struggle with Pisces energy, and that is a bit heightened right now. So wanting to make sure that you are dreaming responsibly in a way, or rather still having your tether and groundedness to the collective reality as you kind of springboard and play in those other realms as well. And then what you're going to find as that truth, and what truth and transparency looks like for you, is going to look a little bit different than it will for other people. So making sure that it is not just like that, it is your truth as well. And if your truth includes not always being like so a little bit more of that trickster energy of, well, maybe the world is the way you see it, but maybe it's actually a little bit more mysterious than that. That is a real strong truth, and you can still play with that and incorporate that into your experience of truth. But that's just sort of that aside and that possible verbal warnings of how things can get a little bit hazy in Pisces season here. So yeah, I'll remind again to take note in this card of what aspect kind of attracts you most. Like, do you feel like these two are greeting each other? So this individual of truth and transparency, and the shadow again was those unconscious realms, desires, fears. Are these two greeting each other and in relation to each other? Are you shining more truth on those unconscious desires and being in relationship? Is this a farewell to them of I'm moving forward and I'm going to leave these behind? And is that an empowered decision? Is it I'm running from my fears and I don't want to look at them because I want to play on these sandy beaches over here? Or is it I don't actually need this shadow to be pulling me back all the time and these fears here, and I can say thank you for what you've taught me, but I'm going to move on. All of these are options, and so for you want to see what it is that looks like more appealing to you. And there is also always the choice of staying. This is this window of opportunity. There's all kinds of bright experiences here, but there may also be a time of choosing to actually, I'm quite happy where I am, or in fact, my time right now is better served to be in rest and building into a more kind of grounded domestic life, and I'm going to just actually say farewell to those opportunities. I'm going to trust that something may come up again as well, but for now I'm actually just going to stay here in my bath and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to examine, maybe sit a bit more with my unconscious desires, or sit with these experiences of some things that are still present in my life and some things that I may have experienced some loss. It's perfectly fine. That is also part of the choice. That's part of the complicated nature, that choice is not actually always this binary yes or no thing, and that you are in that power position. So though things may feel a little bit nebulous, and again, there can be that resistance to being the one who makes a choice, and there can be a desire that choice just gets made for you. But this is still that opportunity for empowerment. But jumping into the astrology again, so that was a lot of this beginning of March before equinox. Pisces kind of energy as you finish up having your birthdays, and see what kind of comes in light of that solar return and how this last year has been for you. And then when we hit the March equinox and we start into Aries season, that's really kind of feels like, what's your decision? Like, take action on your decision. Aries and a fire element in general is very like inspiration, action, drive, and it's like more the start, the impetus, the fire, the fuel. So it's very in support of this turning over of the year into the new season. And it's kind of like, well, what was your choice? This choice that you've been sitting with in Pisces energy of feeling the dream and feeling this options and feeling the ebbs and flows of time, and maybe, breaking down the illusion that time is always this linear thing, but understanding the spiraling nature of it. And then do it. Like make your choice. We can sit on that threshold a lot of times, especially if we're in fear about choice and in fear of the consequences, or being really distracted by being able to see so many consequences and wanting to know what's going to happen before we start out. But ultimately, the only way you're going to know is to do. So towards the end of March at equinox, there's this embarking, and even as it says, this is a long-awaited new beginning. It's embarking on a new cycle. It's a new year for all of you, both with the birthdays and the turn of seasons. So this is the doing, and it's very exciting, because there's this feeling of clarity with Aries and with fire energy that's not clarity like the mind of knowing what's going to happen, but it's the clarity of committing into an action, into a direction. And it's not a commitment as in I'm going in this direction forever. It's a commitment to starting. It's a commitment to at least being in action. Whether you then divert and change your path as you go, it's easier to change your direction while you're already in motion. The most energy used is from starting from nothing, getting past that inertia and going into action. So it is that hardest part to start, and often that fear of starting is because you want to guarantee that you know where you're going, and forgetting that it's not necessarily like this straight shot ballistic bullet from a gun, that you can't change. Like you have significantly more agency than that, and so the starting, even if you're not sure that you're pointed quite at your goal, there's going to be different ways in which you can meander to get there. So once we hit equinox, there's this fresh opportunity to just start and to ride that energetic wave into whatever it is that you've sort of sorted out as a choice point for you. So That's all a very exciting opportunity. I think I'm going to leave it with that. Other than, again, there was this suggestion of really leaning into this water element of the cups, and doing things like, as you are making these choices, the proximity of water, like baths, showers, if you have access to like lakes or waters or rivers to be near, either just going for walks or being in meditation by them, can be really supportive for this card, and then for you as a water sign anyway. So that can kind of help, rather than just like sitting in a box trying to think about things, like being in a bit of a flow, and allowing that inspiration to kind of help fuel you. So that's an option. But yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. So that's it for the horoscope for this month. But I'm going to let you know that I am going to be starting up the first of a pay what you can series of workshops for each zodiac sign. So on the equinox, we're going to be doing the tarot and astrology forecast for Aries season. It's going to be collective reading, so it's not specific to one particular sign. It's going to be relevant to everybody, and that's going to be hosted here on the on my YouTube website. So you are welcome to come back. I'd love to see you then. And again, that's going to be pay what you can, and just for Aries. So best of luck to you, Pisces, and again, happy birthday to all of you.